I think most business owners are massively overcomplicating marketing right now. They think that they need more content, they need more tools, bigger teams, more ads, more automation, and more complexity. But honestly, most marketing problems are not creativity problems. They are operational problems. Because what usually breaks in terms of marketing is not the lack of ideas or lack of value or lack of expertise. It is inconsistency, disorganization, slow execution, unclear messaging, scattered systems, and bottlenecks everywhere to actually scale it. And that is where AI becomes an incredibly powerful tool. Not because AI magically does marketing for you, but because it removes the friction from marketing process itself. Over the last year, I have built a small set of AI prompts that now run a huge part of my marketing workflow. Not random gimmicks, not 100 ChatGPT prompts, but actual operational systems that run off these prompts. So in this video, I'm going to break down the 5 AI prompts that I use to basically run my entire marketing department, including how I use them, how they fit into my actual workflows, why they work, and what basically is actually going to do for you, and also where to make sure that you're not going wrong with it. So before we even talk about the prompt, you need to understand something that is really important. Most business owners do not actually have a marketing problem. They have a workflow problem, a clarity problem, and an operational problem. And that is the real issue, because most businesses already have enough expertise. They already have enough value. They already have enough insights and enough stories that are genuinely worth sharing. But the problem is everything stays trapped inside of your head. The ideas never become systems. The client conversations never become content. The insights never become messaging, and sales calls never actually turn into marketing assets, which is what they should, because it's live pain points. And that is why marketing feels exhausting for so many businesses, because especially for consultants, agencies, creators, service providers, and small teams, everything is going to require manual thinking, manual writing, manual organization, and also manual execution. And that is what will create the operational drag. And honestly, this is where AI is most useful. It is not replace me or write a viral post, but instead help me turn existing knowledge into scalable marketing systems, more content ideas, and support with the frameworks to execute it. There is a much smarter way to use AI. And the first prompt is probably, in my opinion, the most important one. Because this is the prompt that turns the conversations, the thoughts, the meetings, the sales calls, the rough ideas into actual marketing assets themselves. And honestly, most businesses massively underestimate the value of content that they've already got sitting inside of the company now. And the best content is not usually created from something that is built from scratch. It's executed based on what's actually happening right now, especially with the market at the moment. And there's a huge shift there. So for example, client calls, Loom videos, strategy sessions, team discussions, voice notes, onboarding calls, they all basically contain invaluable insights, objections, pain points, positioning angles, content ideas. And there's so many founders at the moment who just completely ignore that. But AI is incredibly good at extracting structure and basically turning this information into clear, direct actions. So the first prompt that I'm going to go over now is turn this conversation into a LinkedIn post, an email idea, short form hooks, long form YouTube topics, objections, marketing angles, call to actions. Keep the conversational tone insightful and practical. And that one prompt there with the right type of context and the right type of transcripts and information can save me hours on ideation, because now one single call or one single transcript can turn into multiple different ideas and pieces across my entire marketing channel. And it's a huge amount of leverage, because businesses do not scale when every piece of marketing is just basically sat at a blank page or using a random guesswork bit of information. It's going to work when it comes to marketing based on something that is real and raw. So when you start tapping into the context that you've got and turning it into multiple different modalities, you are going to have a really, really high impact with that. So instead of constantly asking, what should I post today? Start thinking, well, what have I actually already got inside of my company that I can actually turn into a system? One strong idea can become 10 LinkedIn posts, 5 short form clips, 3 emails, a YouTube script, a sales messaging structure, a future content topic. Like, that is literal operational leverage, because you're not having to think as much. And that is where AI becomes incredible for small business owners, because you can now operate like a much bigger content team without needing a huge marketing department. And it's a massive shift that happens. It's not a case of going, AI, create me a piece of content. It's about giving it the context with the right prompt and then looking at compounding this this IP and information into multiple different angles where you can then use 10% to select which one you actually want to do. It's a very different thing. The second prompt is looking at positioning, which I do really like because I think that this is one of the most important things in the market at the moment. And this is where a lot of marketing will break down. Not because businesses struggle to clearly explain what they do, who they help, why it matters, and what problem they actually solve, which some people might do, don't get me wrong. But everything becomes really broad, too vague, too complicated, and also too generic. An unclear positioning quietly will basically kill your conversions, your content performance, your outreach, and also your trust. So I use Claude heavily to simplify my messaging as much as possible. For example, I will give Claude the offer, the audience, the pain points, the current messaging, and the examples of positioning, and then I'll ask it a very simple question. Simplify this positioning so it feels clearer, more outcome focused, easier to understand, emotionally relevant, identify any confusing language, weak messaging, and also unnecessary complexity. It's as simple as that. It is so useful because you would normally have to sit there and go through the guesswork of it. And you can also even then select winners based on its own global knowledge, because clarity will compound everywhere with better content, better outreach, landing pages, emails, sales, content, client conversations, and everything. Most businesses do not need more marketing. They need clearer communication, stronger positioning, and also simpler messaging. There's a huge difference between that. The third prompt is looking at the actual content system prompt. And this is one that completely changed the way that I basically approached consistency as an actual concept. Because consistency is one of the biggest struggles when it comes to marketing. Not because business owners are lazy, but because creating content manually becomes operationally really heavy over time. So instead of randomly posting, I build systems around themes. For example, I'll come in and ask Claude, can you create me a weekly content system around this topic, include long form content ideas, short form content clicks, LinkedIn posts, email angles, different subjects, objections, stories, CTAs, and my audience's pain point, and I'll give it some context to work with as well. Now, suddenly one topic becomes an entire ecosystem, and that will change so much for you because you might not use all that information, but you've at least know how to think about all that information, so then you can select the winners that you actually want from it. And honestly, that is one of the biggest differences between businesses that will grow consistently and businesses that will grow constantly, and business owners who have to basically beg for attention versus they are creating the actual attention that comes to them. One has systems, and the other one just depends on manual workload and motivation. The fourth prompt is probably the most underrated one out of them all. And honestly, this is where great marketing actually comes from. Understanding problems better than everyone else. Business 101. Most businesses create content around trends, on hacks, and also viral ideas. But the best marketing usually comes from understanding friction, understanding emotional pain, understanding what people are pretty much already struggling with at the moment. So what I will do is I will feed Claude my audience's comments, my support tickets, my client reviews, my DMs, my sales call transcripts, objections, surveys, everything. And then I'll ask, identify recurring frustrations, emotional pain points, operational struggles, hidden fears, language patterns in this audience keeps repeating, and then turn those insights into what I can use as actually clickbait, subjects, and hooks and content angles. It's ridiculous because when you start talking about the right thing in the right places to the right people, that is where the path of least resistance will sit, because it will automatically create trust because you're talking about stuff that they are actually directly struggling with and talking about and going through at the moment right now. It's not about, I've just got better copywriting. It's about having better understanding. It's about having deeper understanding. The fifth prompt is, again, a operator level one that I'll use. And this is basically a marketing diagnostic prompt. And this is the one that I use to identify bottlenecks, friction, weak posts, and basically break down in the actual marketing system itself. Because again, a lot of businesses do not know how to actually see where their marketing is failing. They will just do it based on inconsistent lead generation, poor conversions, engagement, slow growth, and they can never really identify why the actual problem is there. So I will feed my actual system, my funnel, my website, my content, my emails, my offer, my onboarding, my customer journey, and I'll give it everything and then say, identify the biggest friction points affecting conversions, trust, clarity, and engagement, and also lead quality. Prioritize operational bottlenecks, follow-ups, and then positioning gaps, and also where there is trust missing from this, and also in terms of messaging. And it's so valuable because marketing problems are not traffic problems. They are always friction problems. And once you identify friction, improving marketing becomes dramatically easier. Now, this is the important thing. These prompts are not magic prompts. That is not the point. It's about giving it the right context and IP with these prompts to get this informed decision. And the reason that they work is that they solve operational problems. That is the shift that most businesses still haven't made when it comes to using AI. Most people are using AI for random AI outputs, content generation, or just entertainment, in all fairness. But the real value comes with AI when it actually starts to become part of your workflow, part of your system, part of your communication, and part of your thinking infrastructure. And that's the biggest difference. These prompts will help organize your thinking. Yep. Speed up execution. Yep. They'll improve clarity. Yep. Reduce repetitive work 100%, and also create consistency. And that is why they work so well. But the real problem inside most marketing departments is not the lack of ideas. It's the operational friction by not actually giving it the right type of context and information to use. And AI is extremely good at removing that friction. And I think that the biggest mistake that businesses are making with AI marketing right now is that they are trying to replace strategy with automation too quickly. And in my opinion, that is way too dangerous, because AI should improve your execution, your workflows, and your systems. It shouldn't replace your thinking, your judgment, your positioning, and your also audience understanding. And the businesses that are getting the best results right now are combining both human insights with AI leverage, not replacing them with AI. And that combination is the most powerful one, because AI speeds up the operational side while humans still drive the strategy, the direction, the positioning, the understanding, and never just doing something or claiming something even when you can't do it. And that is where the future is. Not with fully automated elements, in my opinion, yet, because it always needs that human intuition and human refinement. So do not immediately assume that you need more content, more ads, and more tools, because sometimes more is not going to actually equal more. Sometimes less is more when it's actually given the right type of insights, given the right type of leverage, and given the right type of context. And honestly, once businesses start using AI properly inside of their marketing operations, it becomes very, very difficult to go back to doing everything manually. Not even just from a performance perspective, but just in terms of your fulfillment behind what you actually do with your company. And what I say to business owners right now is, if you can read, you can copy and paste, and you can follow simple instructions, I can show you how to set up any high-level AI system, automation project, or co-work, or anything on Claude within a matter of minutes. It is not difficult once you've already got these structures in place. And that's why in the last 2 years, I've invested thousands of hours, but also over £100,000 into AI to learn as much as possible, so I can just give it to my clients on a plate. So if you want to work with me one-to-one and find out how we can do this with you and your business, there's a link in my description, and I'll see you on the next video.